Hello and welcome, everybody. I am Mr. Krow right here, and I am here with the one and only War Duck.
Hello, hello.
And welcome to today's topic of the bird's eye view. It's been a little while since we've seen y'all, so thank you so much for tuning in. Today's topic, what we wanted to talk about was about privacy and some things, some laws that have come to change and coming to, I guess you can say, coming to light of how much the government and not just the government, but other companies, like how they're getting and gathering your information and what you do on the internet, being able to pinpoint. One thing that I thought was interesting, this article is based on you using an app such as a a social media app
Twitter.
such as Twitter or Instagram or something to that effect. They can actually pinpoint within feet of where you were and how you are moving around. But then behind the scenes, the apps are still tracking you. Like they know whereabouts you're going. And
Where you
this was
were, where you are, and where you're headed.
yeah. And the way this got brought up, of how this happens with the government, was sometimes the law enforcement, they are using this. They're starting to gather some of this data to find out where you were, what your habits are, if you had intent, were you in the area. It's very interesting. And the topic that this started and kicked up for me was just how people, I feel, should have a dual identity. You know, you have an online identity and you have a real life identity. And when you are in the digital realm or the digital world, you should be using your digital identity. And, they don't need to be exactly the same, but they shouldn't be too far apart, but protecting yourself. It was very interesting. What were some of your thoughts on this, Duck?
Well, the problem is to completely separate yourself is nearly impossible. Because not
Right.
only do you have to use a different identity, like different base identity, like your real
Mhm.
name is not what you use to sign up for with Twitter.
Correct.
Because even if you have a handle on Twitter that's not necessarily tied to you any other way, it's still tied to you. And the fact
It's
that
still
you
tight.
carry
Yeah.
your phone around wherever you go means it's still tied to you. And then they can just put two and two together. Because that's basically what this article was saying, is that they basically, this group said that, hey, if you give us some of this data, we can track anybody where they were up to 5 feet. And so they
Yeah.
said, oh, really? And so they, Twitter and
And
Signal
Google.
Labs
Yep.
basically gave Anomaly 6 all this information, and Twitter turned on the spigot, and then now the government's tracking you. You know, there is
Now that.
you, and technically that violates your amendments, your constitutional right to privacy, right?
Yeah.
Because this has not been a related case that a search warrant was issued, right?
No,
This
and
is
that's
just
the thing too.
this
This
is
has
just
been
the
going
government
on.
tracking you. Like,
Yeah. And this has been going on for years. This isn't new. This is
yeah.
they've been doing it for years. So if you think you need to change now, yeah, it's a little too late. You still need to change. Like,
So here's
yeah,
this.
it's tough.
According to this article, to prove that its technology work, Anomaly 6 demonstrated how it can track anyone from members to special forces in the Russian military to individual US government agents from their workplace all the way back to their home address. Anomaly 6 says it cares about American interests, security, and understands the law. But they can track you up to feet. And it doesn't matter who
Yeah.
you are. Like, it does not matter who you are. Russian special forces. Like, I imagine they're not on a lot of Twitter,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah. It really just doesn't matter who you are
that doesn't matter.
if you're worried about it.
So here's it. If you think the only problem here is the government bulldozing your constitutional privacy rights, you're only half wrong. Your privacy is already non-existent. It's been that
Yep.
way since the first time you turned on your smartphone.
Yep. And so how long have you had a smartphone? I've had one for years
Yeah.
for a very long time. I mean, heck, I had the Apple iPhone 1, you know? Like
Oh,
it's
I never had Apple. I've always been an Android guy. But the moment you turn this on and you carry it somewhere, is you don't have any more privacy. It's gone.
and
It just
if
is.
you truly want to test this, just start speaking as if you're speaking to someone, or speak to someone, your significant other or whatever, just someone, a friend, and just start talking about a random topic that you know that you've never talked about. Like, for example, rain gutters or tree trimming.
Yes.
And
Talk about a
just see,
product.
yeah, just see how many ads you may start seeing because you started talking about that. And then tell me that you're not being tracked and
And
listened
heaven
to
forbid,
at all times.
don't tweet about some rain gutters. You'll never never hit the end of it.
We should start talking about rain gutters and just see
Oh
if we can
God,
start a
dude.
movement of some sort.
Hashtag rain gutters and see how many. But this is
No, but
this is a super disturbing article. Like when I came across this, I was just like, I mean, with my job and my security clearance, I don't really have any privacy rights anyway.
mm,
But like this was like beyond scary. I guess is
yeah.
this is like, and, you know, in all the movies that you know, like The Net or you know,
Oh,
or
the net.
that you
That's a
know,
good one.
this is exactly what it is. Like, oh, you know, they can't. It's like, yeah, you know, I need to go sit in my Faraday cage, and you know, with my that way, the signals can't get in, and I'll wear my tinfoil hat, and but it's an interesting time and an interesting kind of thing, because if you think about this, this is only like 20 years old that our privacy has been non-existent, right?
Yeah,
Because when you still had your flip phone and you still had pagers, right? That
I
wasn't
miss my
something
pager.
that was easily tracked. I had
No,
pager too. I love that thing. But
I loved my pager.
like they said, the moment you got a smartphone, that was the end of it.
Yep.
So I
And
mean,
and there's some steps that you can do. This as I started reading this article, I was like, oh man, there's a lot of things I still do as a practice, as muscle memory, I should say. But there's a lot that I was like, oh, I gave up that a long time ago because I just figured screw it. And it was tough, you know, because there's a way to be able to keep yourself safe. And for example, ditch Google. It tracks you a lot. Use something else that doesn't use cookies. Your internet browsing on your computer. I mean, that's the biggest thing too. Is, you know, ditch your browser. Start using something else. I would tell people to start using a Tor browser, for example.
so
There's a lot of stuff out there.
so how does like, I don't know anything about a VPN. How does a VPN help you with this? Do you know?
So VPN just gives you a virtual private network. That's what it stands for, and it kind of hides your IP address, and that's about it. I mean, everybody, just like how you and I have home addresses here within the world, every single electronic device has an IP. It has a location, and that's tied to you, you know, and that's how it's found and plugged to you. So
So if you use a
if you
VPN, does your tracking reduced or non-existent or?
your tracking is harder. It's not an invisible footprint completely, but it will help. It makes it harder to track. Oh, and I that's one thing that I gave up actually here at home. I don't have a VPN anymore. I used to. I used to use the VPN. I used to use a Tor browser. And in fact, when I was really into it, I used to actually store on a USB stick drive my operating system. So I would actually plug that into a USB on my computer and boot it up straight from my USB, and I would have all my VPN, I'd have all my other stuff there, and then when I shut it off, everything was gone as if I wasn't even on that computer. Like that computer didn't
Interesting.
even know I was there. So it's there's stuff that you can take, but I I don't go to that extent anymore. I'm an old man now. I don't care.
Yeah, I gave up
I
on that. Like,
yeah.
whatever.
Somebody stole my identity, I think back in 2005, and every 5, 7 years I end up trying to go, I something happens again. So at that time I was like, never mind, I'm just done. Like, whatever, I'm done.
Luckily,
But
I
somebody
haven't
stole.
had any of that issues. I'll knock on some wood. I haven't ever had any of that issues, but um,
When I was buying a house, the lady who was filling out our paperwork, she represented that company, right? Like whatever that real estate company was. She would go and she scanned all of, and we weren't the only ones either, but she scanned all of our information and sold that off to people. And that's how my identity was stolen.
oh my god,
So, yeah. Luckily enough, it was caught before they got my wife's, but yeah, it was just me.
dang, dude,
But there
that's
was
fucking
tons of
scary.
like yeah, it was messed up. Something we could talk about at another time. But yeah, it was like I received
Yeah.
a phone call like 5 in the morning, and I answer the phone, and this sergeant's like, "Yes, I need to speak to," and it's like very assertive, and I was like, "Yeah, this is him," and he's like, "Yeah, we need you to come into the office, blah blah blah. What's going on? Where were you?" It's like I had this
Lawyer.
million questions, and I was like, "What the heck?" And I'm like, I'm not even awake yet.
Yeah.
Like I said, that I woke up by the phone way back in the day when we had to pick up the phone. So, but yeah, it was interesting, and I had to go to court to go see, like, to go, what is it, I had to provide my testimony against the guy
Oh,
who stole my identity, and the lady as well.
wow.
So it was interesting. But yeah, that's once that happened, yeah, I kind of gave up on a lot of this hiding my identity quite as much as I used to.
Yeah, they're gonna find you no matter what. Big
Yeah.
brother, you know.
Yeah, I'm positive the government can find me no matter what. I Even if I went and lived up in the mountains in Virginia, I
Yeah.
still think I would find a way to
Well,
plug in and
what's funny
you know,
is like
I'd get busted.
because of my job, they're like, hey, take this phone, this government phone, and I'm like, yeah, I don't get reception at my house with it, so they're like, oh, okay, well, you can put this app on your phone. I was like, no,
No.
because then like then it becomes a government device and they have the right to like look through it. And I'm like, yeah, it's bad enough that you just have access to my computer. I'm not and my
Yeah.
financials and all that. I'm not doing all that other stuff. But yeah, so
That's exactly what I've had to do. Like, I wanted to be able to check my work email, and they're like, "Well, you'll have to install this and this and this," and I was like, "No." And then eventually there was a time where I was like, "Okay, fine." Like this, it would just be much easier.
What was
So
funny is that
I bought
they're
it,
like,
or I did it.
hey, you can, we're giving everybody access to work from home. All you got to do is plug this device in and use your card. And I was like, okay, because I don't know if you remember, I have I bought a couple computers off of Craigslist that were like some reproduction
Mhm.
work computers, that had like the i7s and stuff in it. It's just a
Yeah.
standalone computer, and I was like, okay, sure, I'll install it. So when we are allowed to do some work from home, I'm setting that whole other computer up that's not tied to any of this other stuff.
Good for you.
Because I'm like, nope, not installing shit on my computer. That's not happening.
Yeah. Yeah, it's my personal phone, but it has work stuff on it, and I have to follow some of my work procedures because it has work stuff on it. And the reason being is if anybody got a hold of
Yeah,
it, they could access some of my work. I mean, let's
yeah,
be honest, if they got a hold of my personal phone, they
yeah.
could be able to access work stuff, and it gives them a portal in. So, and it's crazy. Yeah, me working from home, even like whenever I walk away from my computer and it's my work computer, I have to lock it so that my wife, my kids, nobody can get into it. Like it's in our policy. You have to, when you walk away, you have to lock your
That
computer.
drives
You
me
cannot
so
leave it.
nuts at work because I literally get up, lock it, walk out, forget what I was doing, go back to my computer, have to log back in, and be like,
A lot. and you change your password every 90 days, and
Oh,
it, I
dude.
swear
And
it's
it's like
always
fucking
increasing.
24 characters long. And it's like, oh my God, dude. Yeah.
I Yeah, they
And it
just
can't be
changed
any of
ours.
your previous fucking 42
Your previous
fucking.
6?
Yeah.
I
It's
think we
like,
have the previous
oh.
6. Yeah. We have, yeah, ours have to be 16, and I gave up. I was just like, once they came out with the 12, I was like, "Screw this." I created a password that's like, yeah, 22
Well,
characters long.
not only that, like we can't use the same password for the other databases that we use or the other logins we use. They have to be
Really?
different. And so it's like, well, here's what's even worse is we use our government ID card and a PIN number to get into our computers, right? So
Mhm.
we don't ever use that long ass flipping one unless something happens, right? So it's not
So
even one that you use every day to remember. It's like, oh, but now I got to scan this document in, and they're like, "What's your password?" I'm like, let's see.
it 1111?
The first 6 was this pattern. The second 6 was this pattern, and then. And then, and I'm like, oh my god. And then it's like, nope. And I was like, okay, we must be on the next one because I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, it's rough. Yeah,
And then
it's
after you
bad.
try 4 times, you're locked out for you have to get an admin to lock your yeah. Been there.
Oh,
Been there.
worse is forget your card at home and go to work.
Oh
Not
gosh.
only you have to have somebody badge you in the door, but then your computer they have to like swap it over to use the password, and it's like it's just oh god, dude.
Yeah. That's horrible.
Yeah. It's bad. Anyway,
In other words, people
we kind of rambled on this one a bit,
safe out there though.
but
Not only do you have to worry about viruses and stuff like that, now you have to worry about remembering your passwords when you're over 35.
yeah, but not to scare you, but your privacy isn't there anymore, and
Yeah.
not that you shouldn't still do your due diligence to keep your banking information and that kind of stuff as much secure as you can. Know that if
Yes.
somebody wants it, they're gonna get
They'll
it.
get it.
So
They're gonna get it. Still, the best place to store your money underneath your mattress. Just make sure that it's covered in a envelope that's fire
I thought it
retardant
was
and everything.
the dirty laundry. You can stick it at the bottom of the dirty laundry because nobody's digging through that.
That's probably a good idea. A dirty sock that's crusty.
Well, I don't have any boys, so I don't have to worry about
You know, I have
that.
3.
Okay, with that, we definitely better get out of here. Much
Gotta
love all.
go. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next time. Be safe out there.